Well, as the war continues, Russia has decided to ban Instagram. Well, joining us with a bit more detail is cybersecurity expert Graeme Batsman. I mean, there is this, we talk of cyber war, Graeme, and it has sort of many different sides, doesn't it? I mean, there's banning social media, which of course can affect the information that Russians are getting on what is going on. It's part of the propaganda war, isn't it? But we've also got to really up our game on what cyber attacks may also be heading in our direction.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Yes, though so far we've not seen any real massive cyber attacks. There's many things from, you could say, Ukrainian vigilantes going against things. And Instagram's fairly big. Russia is 100 million people plus, and allegedly 63 million users there. I'm sure, just as in Syria, Iran, and other places, there'll be some ways of circumventing such controls, but not absolutely for everyone, of course.
What about our own security? I mean, I don't want to sound like we're thinking of us here for a minute, but in this country, is there anything that we should be aware of in terms of our own cybersecurity at the moment? We all kind of, I think, probably naively for the last few years, thought a war today would be conducted online as opposed to necessarily bombs and guns. We've been proved wrong in that regard. But does that mean that we can relax a little in terms of having our major digital infrastructure, perhaps the NHS or government databases, hacked by the Russians?
I would still worry in the UK, but not as much as other places. Cybersecurity is still developing, quite infant in some ways, though UK, France, Germany, America, Canada, and so on are kind of the leaders in cybersecurity, but to be a leader in something new doesn't make you very good. When you actually go to places like Ukraine and others which I've been to, cybersecurity drops off the cliff, even more when you go to Africa. So I'm sure the worry's still there. We can look at WannaCry from a few years ago, and that wasn't necessarily proved as nation-state attack. So I'm sure some things are vulnerable, but large things like nuclear power stations, water is probably reasonably secure compared to a smaller entity. So I wouldn't be complacent, but we're doing better than many other places in the world.
I mean, it's interesting, though, isn't it, Graeme? When we talk about cybersecurity, we do look at how we could be affected here and the consequences and the work that GCHQ is doing. What we don't talk about very much is what cyber war we are trying to inflict, no doubt, on countries like Russia at times like this.
The UK seems to be, it has a small task force. If you look at China, there's probably tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of cyber warriors. The UK probably has hundreds or thousands, which are very skilled. But if you look at the reports from the past, we seem to get caught less, which says we're more sneaky, whereas Syria, North Korea, Iran, and so on don't seem to care. They get exposed a lot. The UK, I'm sure, does it, but it seems to mask its tracks better than other places.
Graeme, you say you've spent time in Ukraine. Tell us a little bit about the Ukrainian people from your personal perspective, because they're a proud and determined bunch of individuals, aren't they?
Yeah, I was there in 2015, 2020, 2021 and 2022. Probably spent something like 11 or 12 weeks there in total. Compared to the rest of the former Soviet Union, it's a little bit more liberal and Western compared to when you go to somewhere like Moldova, where things seem more conservative. You could tell it was very proud. People were fairly anti-Russian even till a month or two ago. Remember going to outside of Kiev, where the former dictator Yanukovych had his corrupt palace, and going to a dog training center, which was nearly in the news because they shot some helicopters down there recently. And he was constantly saying, this guard dog I'm training is referred to as an anti-Putin dog. So you could see they were proud and didn't want to be seen as at all Russian. And also they were anti-Russian even many, many years ago.
No, interesting to get your views on all of that. And no doubt we'll talk again, Graeme Batsman. Thank you very much, Graeme, cybersecurity expert there. And it is an area, as you say, Bev, where we thought this was going to be a cyber war, in effect. And of course, it's turned into a land war. But it's still it's an area we can't forget about.
Absolutely. I kind of keep waiting for that. I can't. You know what I mean? I think that's because we've just been primed to think that's what war looks like now, isn't it? But.